This week I'm going to show you some new mods, but I'm also going to focus on how to get all of your mods working nicely with each other. The word cinematic gets a little bit of ridicule when applied to games now for some fairly obvious reasons, but The Witcher 3 is in fact what I would consider a cinematic game. And by that I mean they've tried to make it look like you're playing the game through a camera. If you look at the screen, it may be hard to see on a YouTube video with the compression, but when it's raining, occasionally you will see little spots of rain hit the screen as if it was a camera. They are faint, they are subtle, but they do occur occasionally. The game also adds a kind of dirty filter, a sort of effect that makes it look like the camera has been splashed a few times and perhaps wiped and dried clean. It's not always easy to see, and depending on the angle and the light, it can be strong or it can even be quite subtle. It's getting stronger now on my view at least, and it is a very effective technique. It will make the game look like you're filming some actors. However, not everybody wants that. Some people would prefer the game to look like you were looking at it through your own eyes. And of course, as you've probably already guessed, there is a mod that will let you do that. The mod is called No Dirty Lens Effect, and it really does the most simple thing. It removes that dirty effect. As you can see, well, hopefully you can see, the screen is a lot clearer. There's none of that dirty smudge effect. However, there are still raindrops hitting the camera, so when it's raining you still get the feeling of rain, which I actually quite like. But it is still a hell of a lot clearer. All of those blemishes, all of the dirty smudges have gone, making it a far more beautiful view, even though it is raining and of course I'm on a dirty battlefield. This is going to come down to personal preference. Do you like the dirty lens effect? Does it make you feel the game is more cinematic, or does it annoy you? If it's the latter, try this mod out. In the vanilla game, Geralt is a very aloof person. He rarely looks at anyone. He could walk around Vesemir there and give him nary a glance. The same is true of all the NPCs. He will stroll past this peasant and not even glance at her as he shoves her out of the way, pushing the boy out of the way, not even looking at him. He really just seems to not notice the population. We all know this is probably because of his amazing Witcher senses. He does not need to look, but it could seem a little off-putting to some people. But with a mod called Face Them, Geralt will actually glance at people as he gets close to them. It's not a huge look. He doesn't stare at them. Well, actually, possibly he does if I get close and stand. As you can see, he's looking slightly at her, noticing her. And even if he shoves people out of the way, there's a slight acknowledgement that they exist. It's not an amazing one, but it's there. Now again, this is one of those mods that's going to come down to personal preference. Do you want a curious Geralt? Or do you want an aloof Geralt who just stares forward, barely glancing around him? It's going to be up to you. If you like a Geralt who pays people attention, not always, but there you go, this mod may be for you. The next mod I'm going to show you changes a very small thing, but it may actually make quite a big difference to one of the features that I pretty much never use in this game, and it's the weapon improvement feature. You can use the grindstone and it will improve your weapon for an entire 15 minutes, which is kind of pointless. I mean, unless you're going to run back to a grindstone every 15 minutes, or you've got a specific fight in mind, so you run back, grind your sword and then run off, it's kind of well, it seems like an almost redundant feature. I'm sure it's used occasionally. But with a mod called Gear Improvement Lasts Longer, when you activate this, instead of getting 15 minutes, you get, well, 96 minutes it would seem, which apparently is one in-game day. So I will now have enhanced weapons for the day. It's only just over an hour and a half, but that's actually quite a lot of gameplay. This actually seems useful. It actually seems like something I might consider doing when I'm in town, just to improve my weapons. Obviously, this does make you stronger. You may consider it overpowered, and perhaps this is one of those mods that you won't take because of it. However, if you like to min-max, if you like to be the best you can be, and you have found yourself running back to town every 15 minutes to get this enhancement, this mod may well save you quite a lot of hassle. The next mod I'm going to show you is a heads-up display mod, which will annoy some people who feel I've covered too many heads-up display mods. But again, I make no apology, because as far as I'm concerned, the heads-up display was one of those areas that needed modding quite a lot. And this mod is yet another example of why. This mod adds buff icons on your heads-up display for oils, the oils on your sword. In the vanilla game, you can put an oil on your sword. So for example, I've got necrophage oil, and I currently have 20 applications. But you don't get to see how many applications are left while, say, in combat. You have to constantly come back to your inventory, and you can actually do that in the middle of combat. You can fight, you can keep going back and checking, but that's a little distracting and a little unnecessary. And what this mod does is just tells you. I've taken my sword out, and it now tells me I've got 20 applications of necrophage oil. Now, of course, it says 2000. It's as if it's a time, but it just means I've got 20 applications of it. And as you can see, 19, 18. And I get a very, very good indication of how many I've got. I don't have to keep checking my inventory at all, which is very, very useful. And I don't even think it's overpowered, because you can, of course, always do this anyway and pause time and read it. So this just means I can do it without going through that. Of course, you could count instead, if you prefer to do that. But me, I very rarely count my sword strikes. And of course it disappears when I put the sword away. Perfect. This is absolutely perfect for me. One problem that you may have with that mod is it is incompatible with some other mods. For example, Friendlyhood. Now last week I did mention this. I mentioned that Friendlyhood was incompatible by default with auto loot, but you could fix it. And of course the same is true with the mod that shows these buffs on your heads-up display. However, you do have to do a little work yourself. In the case of Friendlyhood, the mod author has actually written a lot of details on how to get her mod working with a variety of different mods, and linked it via a compatibility topic, and you can check that out. And there are a list of mods that she has given instructions on how to make them compatible with Friendlyhood. However, her own recommendation is to actually try the script merger tool before you go to these threads, because you may be able to achieve the same in a far easier manner. So that's what we're going to do now. The first thing to do, quite obviously, is download. I would download manually this file. It will download as a zip file, and you can extract that to wherever you want. I've already actually extracted it here to my desktop. And if I open that up, you will see the Witcher script merger.executable and a config file and some other files. I can run the executable straight away. However, the Witcher 3 directory will not be filled in, and I will have to browse for it here. You can actually do that, or if you want, and I would recommend doing this, edit the config file and place in the mods directory in the game directory the value of that particular directory. I'm gonna open up my Witcher 3 Wild Hunt mods folder. This is where I keep all of my mods. I'm going to copy the address as text and place it into there. Control V. And in the game directory, I'm just going to put the same, but without the /mods. Hit Control S to save, and I'm done. And now when I run the executable, it will automatically have this filled in. You will also see it has detected a couple of conflicts straight away. The HUD module buffs.ws script is in conflict because both friendly HUD and oil indicator are changing it, and the player input.ws are in conflict because auto loot and friendly HUD are in conflict. You can probably see I've got review each merge even if auto solvable. That is not selected by default, but I always like to review everything anyway, so I have selected that. I'm going to start by fixing auto loot and friendly HUD and get those two working together. I do that by selecting this checkbox, which automatically selects those, and then hitting merge selected script. Run this, and this tool will open up. Those of you who do a lot of coding are probably familiar with tools such as this. Those of you who are not, don't panic. I know it might look a little intimidating. It's not actually that difficult. I'm going to take you through the very, very basics. First of all, we have a warning. And this is just saying that the tool has found 38 conflicts. That's 38 places where these two mods have tried to change something, and this tool is now aware of them. It's fixed 37 of them, which is great news. It's been able to figure out which bits of code are required from which mods and place them in the right place. But there is one conflict it was unable to fix, and we are going to have to fix that ourselves. So click OK, and let's have a quick look at this tool. There are 4 panels. The first panel, the A panel, is the text that, well, basically this text is the default text, the vanilla text, the script that comes with the game. Anything that appears here was created by CD Projekt Red. The B panel, this is for, in this case, mod auto loot, and it will show text from that mod in the same file, player input.ws. And the same here in the C panel for mod friendly HUD. So it's looking at 3 different files. This is 3 different files, all of them called player input.ws, 1 the vanilla file, and 1 each for the 2 mods. Underneath it is the output panel. This is the actual code that will be created for our merge patch. And this is sort of a mix of all of these above panels. And you can actually see which panel it has taken which text from. On the side, if I scroll through it, you can see anything that doesn't have a letter before it. This is actually text from the original file. B, this means it's taken lines from the auto loot mod. And C, obviously, is lines it's taken from the friendly HUD mod. The important thing for us is this question mark where it says merge conflict. It has found a problem that it couldn't figure out itself, and it should default to focusing on that area. And that is why we have the question mark. It wants to know, do you want this section of text, which is blank, there's nothing here. This section of text, which is from auto loot, which just happens to be white space. It looks like the mod author of auto loot added an extra line, a blank line. Not sure why, but it looks like they've added a blank line. Or these 2 lines from friendly HUD, which include a comment and the registry of a listener. Now, I can tell you right now, these are the lines you want. This white space does nothing. It does exactly the same as this, and in fact had he not included this, we wouldn't have even had this conflict. We want these lines. We don't need these. So we want C to win this conflict. And we do that by going along to Merge Conflict and right-clicking. Select lines from C. And it will just copy those two lines into here. The merge conflict has now gone away. There is no conflict. We have resolved it. And this file down here is now ready to be saved. So go along to File and Save, or press Control S. And you're now done. I can now close this. I get this little merge finished report that tells me it's merged auto loot and gives me the file with friendlyhood and placed it here in the mod merge script. In fact, I can show you that. There you go. It's created a file. This one is under player input.ws. It also has a copy of the original. Don't worry about that. Okay. And you now see on the merge script sides, we have one blue file that incorporates mod auto loot and mod friendlyhood. Of course, the real test now is, does it work? So let's start the game and have a look. Okay, so once in game, I'm going to press the map key and hold it, and there you go. I've got friendlyhood. Friendlyhood seems to be working just fine. And Witcher senses, it appears, because that's how I've got it set up. All working just fine. Let's loot this bush. And it loots automatically, which is nice. And then let's go between these three plants and hit the radius loot button. And there you go. It looted all three. So I've got friendlyhood and auto loot working just fine. If for some reason you decide to delete one of these mods, you will of course not need the merge script anymore. So select this select box and then hit delete selected merge and it will remove it. I'm not going to do that because of course I do need it. Now if you did all that and it didn't work, you can still go to the friendlyhood list of compatibility topics. I will leave the link down below. Click on auto loot. And the mod author does give an in-depth description of exactly what to do. She will actually tell you what file to make, how to make it, and which lines to put where. You can follow these instructions and it will work. In some ways, this may even be simpler for some of you. For some of you, this may be simpler if you don't like that tool. The advantage to getting used to this tool is once you're used to it, once you are comfortable using it, you'll be able to create these by yourself and you'll be able to create them quickly. And to show you that, I will actually create another merge patch for friendlyhood and oil indicator. So I would just select, merge selected script, run. And once again, 28 conflicts, 27 of them fixed, one of them not fixed. So, which one has not been fixed? It's a conflict above the mod friendlyhood line. This particular red line doesn't actually matter. We can sort of ignore this. The merge conflict is the area above the mod friendlyhood label, this one. In the original file, we had some white space. We had some new lines. In the mod oil indicator, we had absolutely nothing. Looks like he's deleted the new lines. Not totally sure why he's done that, but doesn't actually matter. I need these lines from the B file, the mod friendlyhood, are required. Right click, select lines from B, and that conflict has been resolved. That's it. That's how simple that was. I didn't need to read any of the instructions from the mod author. You will see some other conflicts that were auto-resolved very close by. Don't worry about this. I know it's red text and people's eyes are always drawn to red text. This conflict was actually figured out by the tool itself. You can see this here. Oil modifications, inventory equals getWitcherPlayer.getInventory. Automatically done for you. This was done, no problem. So, again, save, close, check the merge report. No conflicts found now. So I no longer have any conflicts in my mods. And of course, I need to go and check to make sure oil indicator and friendly hood are working. So once in game, go along to my inventory and let's put necrophage oil on my silver sword and draw it. And there you go, necrophage oil has now appeared. And just to make sure that friendly hood is working, there you go. I have the mini-map linked with friendly hood. I'm going to open the quick menu, and as you can see, that is all working. So both mods are now working together. And if you're using the functionality to hide the buffs when out of combat, if you go along to video, HUD configuration, display current buffs, and turn that off so they're hidden, as you can see, the buff does get hidden, and then I'll go and do something stupid like wait for him to tell me it's thieving and then take it all, and now it's going to grab me. And now you can see necrophage oil. So it works perfectly. The great thing about this particular tool is that if you do create a merge patch and it doesn't work or it causes you some problems, you can delete it. It's dead easy to delete and it will just revert exactly to how it was before. So you will have done no harm to your game. It is easier to create these merge patches once you get used to the tool than to say do it manually. And it also gives you a very good indication of which mods are conflicting. So if you do have a problem, you can just run that and it will actually immediately tell you, oh yeah, you've got a couple of conflicts. So you don't have to do all the usual thing of uninstalling each mod until you find the one. This is actually a very, very useful tool, and it's going to be one I use quite a lot. But that is it for this video. I hope you found it interesting and I hope you found it helpful. I hope it wasn't a little too intimidating with all the code editing. Leave me a comment down below if it was a little too confusing. Of course, I will be back next week with some more mods to show you guys, and you are more than welcome to join me for that video. I look forward to seeing you there, of course, and until then, remember, as always, have fun.